We've got Nick Marimbist here playing Inquisitor. And Inquisitor we just saw recently on stream with his Heraldless fighting Brian. Was it Brian or Carl? No, it's Carl he played. And so we're...
Last night, then we had Harold on James.
Yes. So we are basically ready to go. I'm going to tell these guys we're off here. Let me just let the Discord community know. T4 Shufflebus match live on Twitch now. It was cool today. Plaid Hat went on Twitch today and played some games. Nick and one of the guys that's in their office there had a rematch of their Fiona Jessa matchup from a couple of streams back, and I did not get to see the outcome of that game. I kind of had to do some stuff in the middle of that, and then I got a chance to watch two of their other more casual players play with the precons of Lulu and Auric, which was pretty interesting to watch play out.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So that was a fun stream to watch today. I plan to catch the middle part of it that I had to step away from later on sometime soon. I tend to try to consume as much Ashes content as possible. So let's tell these guys we can fire off. Neil, we're just going to get going here.
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it. So,
starting with the owl.
I'm not in. Did they start?
Yeah, you just played an owl book.
Weird. I am like stuck in the lobby. Let me leave and try to watch this again and see if we can get... There we go. All right. Sorry, guys. We're back. We're here. So Inquisitor's got the starting player here.
Yeah, the only thing that happened was Inquisitor played that book and now he's meditating.
Sure. Yep.
And Jessa chose to go second.
Right. All right. So Nick did win and chose won the dice roll and chose to go second here, giving him top of round 2, top of round 4.
I think it's funny that we call it winning the dice roll when
it's kind of losing, right? Like it's actually you lose the dice roll, but you get choice. So it's kind of a neat mechanic when you really think about it. So Nick responds here with a summon salamander monk. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see a very similar open to, I think, what we normally see from Nick. He'll have I think, I don't know, I guess. Maybe Double Knight is good. Like, Single Knight does not seem good to me against Herald.
I mean, for sure, right? Like, it's...
But Double Knight might be fine. That's what we've seen him do in the other 2 games that we've commentated on, is he has started Vamp plus one other, usually the Huntmaster.
Right. Yep.
And Inquisitor makes an owl. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a pretty common thread here, if you will, on how to start these games out. And
yeah, if you have an owl book and your opponent doesn't like you're on the play, you play owl book and they don't immediately put like a Grave Knight or a Lightbringer book in play, you're gonna owl them, right? Like
right.
You would have to have like the perfect read on their first 5 to not memory drain them as like your next main action.
Yeah. So Nick just responds with Salamander Monk. I think this is, setting up his board, gives him a great fear target, probably gets a free point of damage in.
I assume that Nick has a plan for this owl, whether it's ceremonial power or something else. So he did have the vamp. This is different because the last 2 games that we saw Nick play, he just ran out of Huntmaster.
Mm-hmm. So he's definitely taking a more controlled approach, but it also makes sense to take a controlled approach against Herald and that Hunter's Mark, because that Hunter's Mark is really a problem when you put something like Huntmaster out, because it just doesn't survive to anything of reasonable size.
Specifically, Huntmaster, I think, is like the best one in that case, because you get so much like extraneous value from it.
And Nick immediately,
and it's a little smaller.
Yeah, and Nick immediately uses that ceremonial dice just to bring the Master Vampire back and take the one. So he has planned for a first 5 of 9 dice versus 10 dice, just specifically to answer this owl from Inquisitor.
Well, it's like 9v9 now, right? It's like 9v9, except Inquisitor gets a 0-2.
Right.
And he plays Mindfog Owl.
Yep.
Which is this is a card that like I know Philly played in season 2, but I think that and this deck are the only times we've seen that card played.
Yeah,
it's a good card.
It's been paired alongside Frostback Bear, which would indicate to me that one of the 5 cards from Inquisitor will be a Frostback Bear, because it's a way to set up that unblockable 4 damage.
Yeah, that's the same first 5 that well, maybe not the same first 5, but the same starting books he had against Carl on Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's like best friends with Frostback. Otherwise, it's like, all the 2/2s for 2 books are pretty good.
Nick just dropping a choke round 1 on this Herald just to lock out that Hunter's Mark and Mark Prey here in round 1.
Interesting.
I do like this decision.
So having the Master Vampire, like essentially the 4 dice Master Vampire, I think that like he probably doesn't have the Huntmaster. And this choke just is going to protect that vamp, because I don't think that Inquisitor starts any removal. He has 3 festers, I guess, so maybe he starts a fester.
It's very possible that he has Nick on big body for Fester, like Nature Pink Fester, and he is holding the dice for Nature Pink Fester.
It's just like, it's like a little redundant when you have the Hunter's Mark already. So like if you think they're on double night start, then having Fester plus Hunter's Mark is fine. But
well, we definitely know Nick could have set up the Frostback Bear here and not chosen to cast it, and then he is on double night. But otherwise, you're on Bear, Knight, and probably Fear is most likely what the Jessa player has put out there in the first 5 at this point, when we've seen most of the
Fear would be
hand.
likely. What other 1 dice cards do he have? He doesn't have any 1 dice units. Like, he can have a Butterfly Monk, right? He has enough nature dice for
he
that.
could, yeah. The last card could certainly be Butterfly Monk if he did not start removal, and if he had the Herald player on a plan that didn't involve a big knight themselves. It is possible, but the Herald player could easily be on Hammer Knight here.
Like 90% Fear. I think the next most likely thing after Fear is Butterfly Monk.
Yeah,
those are the only things that make sense to me.
I mean, traditionally, what we've seen from Nick in this tournament up to this point, because we've covered him a couple of times on stream now, he just wants to draw into those 3 Butterfly Monks instead of first 5ing them. That's why he put 3 books in the list. It was not necessarily to get 3 monks in play at any given point, but to actually have the ability to draw them with a fair amount of consistency through his gameplay.
His first 5 game plans in the other games, not this one, obviously this is very different, has been just like heavy pressure on board. Like he started the Huntmaster plus the Knight in the other games. And that's just not the plan he's on here. So I mean, if he's on a grindier plan, starting Butterfly Monk is like on that plan. And it's just kind of a toss-up, right? Because the Fear is better if Inquisitor starts Hammer Knight or Master Vampire, which he's certainly. I guess let me look at what a dice he has up here. So he's showing both of those things possibly. And we're just having like a Frostback here. Pretty easy, safe Frostback Bear.
And Nick does play this bear. It makes a good blocker. Make sure the Mindfog Owl can't go unblocked if Inquisitor does bring his own bear down at this point. And with the lack of the Hunter's Mark, the Mindfog Owl looking kind of sad into this board now until we see some other play.
if in this board specifically, which I don't think is where we'll end up, but if he had Frostback and like attacked with Frostback and Owl, the Owl would get a profitable attack because it would either get through or the monk would have to block it because the bears would have to block each other.
Mhm.
And if you notice, Nick meditated to Frog up there. I think that indicates that he has the monk.
That's interesting. He could be, or he could be bluffing Fester here because he may not have anything to do with that last nature die because he's got the Master Vampire. So,
and Inquisitor knows he has Master Vampire, so he's not bluffing anything.
Right.
It's either Butterfly or Fear, but I don't know why he would switch to Frog if it was.
Well, one thing you can do with the Frog dice here compared to Fearing if you didn't want to is if Inquisitor does open up an attack here after you play your Master Vampire, if Inquisitor drops Frostback Bear and does try to commit to an attack, which seems unlikely to happen with Vampire now in play. And
well, yeah, the order that Nick has deployed his threats has been really good because you want the Vampire down before they activate Bear Book. Because now he can just he just can't activate Bear Book.
Right. Or you just are giving up 2 dice to let the Vampire eat. And get the heal. Yeah,
I mean, he may have to do that just because that's how the trade is going to happen. But more likely, what's going to happen is something like this where he's kind of like punting, where he's like, I gotta get this Vampire. I have to deal with this Vampire if I can before I activate Bear Book.
This is an interesting decision for Nick here because he could perform the Jessa block here, Jessa guard, and take the 2 points of damage from the Mind Fog Owl and still have 3. Available units. He can also just take the 2 from this Master Vampire.
Well, it just depends on what he has, what he puts the Herald player on. Because I guess Fester is like the worst case scenario.
Yeah, but your opponent's not going to get to Fester here, so then you can counter swing with the Vampire and get the heal off.
Right, but what he wants to do is kill a bear with this Vampire, right?
Sure, of course.
And killing tapped Mind Fog Owl is like fine, but that's not really the value you're going for. I think Nick is not gonna. I think it's really hard because if the Herald player started a night and he's on Butterfly Monk and not Fear, then he's in trouble. I think that you should let the Vampire take.
So most likely
he PP guarded. I think I would have just let the Vampire take 2 and not countered. But we'll see what.
So Nick takes 2 damage, goes to 3. This does leave his board in a good position to kind of clean up the round. Obviously, it's possible that we could see Inquisitor still play Frostback Bear and turn around and then play Knight and Fester if he
can.
Dice
for his own Master Vampire. Yeah, he still does.
Yeah, he has dice for his own Master Vampire. He has dice for the Frostback Bear, but does not have dice for.
So we see the bear eat the owl and no Herald Guard given.
So I think that. Obviously, Inquisitor is valuing his health, knowing that Jessa's Scream is a real threat to a 16 health Phoenix Born as the game progresses. And
I think in general, this indicates that he has another threat. Obviously, the Vamp can eat the bear, but the only reason you wouldn't PB guard there, realistically, is if you had another guy you plan on playing that you want to protect.
Sure.
Because one of your guys, the bear or whatever your other threat is going to get eaten by the Vamp. You can't do anything about it. But so maybe it's like a Raptor Herder or something.
It's possible.
Something that the monk is a threat to.
I
don't know. It's interesting. He can't
go Raptor Herder into this because Jessa's got a battlefield of 4, so he'd have to have something die on this battlefield.
No, I'm talking about the Herald player.
Oh, the Herald player. Got it.
The Herald player having something that he would want a PB block for later.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's possible.
And I don't know, Raptor Herder seems pretty low impact. I think you still just Phoenix Born guard for the owl. over the Raptor Herder, but we'll see what he has, because obviously there's more in the tank for Inquisitor than
most likely.
He's got 6 dice and 2 cards left.
If that last card for Jessa is Fear, even though Nick did meditate into that, then what we'd most likely see here is Salamander Monk into Owl for the 3 point of damage. Then you'd get the Fear on the next round after the Knight comes out from Inquisitor to kill their Knight off, and then you get the Salamander Monk Spirit there.
So here's the
Vampires eating the bear.
Yeah.
So we will find out if this is a Fester for that 5th card from Inquisitor here.
Yeah, I mean, he has a ceremonial dice up, so I think he has a Fester or the Vampire. He obviously can't have both.
Vampires stock ability and hunt prey, or not hunt prey, what's it called? Life drain kicks in to heal 1 off the Jessa.
Yeah, Vamp is great, man. It's really good.
Super good. So there is a Knight here. So this would tell me that his plan is definitely now to Fear. If Nick has Fear, this is the time to do it. Because
if he has Fear, he'll just windmill slam it. But
we might have a Golden Veil in hand here for Inquisitor, just based on dice being held, bluffing it or actually prepared for it here, which would be very powerful.
He does have the Singleton Golden Veil in his list.
That would be a heck of a start here for Inquisitor if he can protect this Hammer Knight through the first Fear.
Well, the Hammer Knight post PB guard is pretty damn good.
Right.
And this is kind of what I was talking about before, where Nick had to make the decision if he thought he was on something like this.
Right.
When he did that PB guard on the first Owl attack on the Vamp like 3 turns ago.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, Inquisitor has put together an excellent first 5 here if Jessa is on Fear. And that's, I think, what Jessa wants to be doing. But we've talked about this before in past streams. Like, if this is a Golden Veil, you still have to make the play. And
yeah, it's really rough because I think his last card is Butterfly Book, but it's like 1 turn too late because the unit guard would be really big here.
Yes. It's possible that you're correct on that. I mean, it's very possible. Although I think even if you suffer 3, like, one of the things you can do is take your Salamander Monk here into the Owl to put a point of damage on it, being that you're going to go first in the top of the next round. You're either going to get 1 point of damage into the Herald that way, or 1 point of damage on the Owl, depending on what Inquisitor values.
Whatever the Monk doesn't. It's like fine. It doesn't matter very much.
Well,
it's how this Hammer Knight kids got.
My point is that you're going to take the 3 from Hammer Knight anyways, and Nick is in the tank on this one, thinking it through here. But you're probably going to take so that is what he's going to do. He's going to make that attack on that 3-eyed Owl here. We'll see if Inquisitor takes the 1 point of damage or lets the Owl soak 1 here. I'm imagining the Owl will soak 1, but you never know.
Yeah, there's no reason to PB block this.
I would agree, but doesn't mean that's not true.
Yeah, the issue with the Hammer Knight here is that it's going to kill Vampire and whatever is left of this Salamander, whichever half. And
well, the Salamander's definitely not going to take any damage in this exchange. So
I mean, using the Salamander is fine, knowing that it's going to get aftershocked or whatever that ability is called.
It's most likely going to be. My thought is you're probably not going to want to give Nick that Spirit, but maybe you do. But you can Hammer Knight into Master Vampire and just put 1 on the Bear, since there's no recovery on Bear.
The Spirit doesn't do anything. Like, I guess it
can kill the Owl or put a damage on Phoenixborn.
Right, but I would trade a point of life for a body on Jessa's side. Like, she has so many sack things that like I would definitely always trade 1 point of life for the.
So we do see the Owl take the 1 here. That I think that's the correct play from Inquisitor.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if he does aftershock the Monk and he makes a 1/1 and an Owl gets attacked, the PB can obviously block the second time.
So we will see what he chooses to put this aftershock damage on, because you do give Nick another attack here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the worst case scenario is if he has Monk Book, because he doesn't have Fear. If he had Fear, we'd know it. So he aftershocks the Spirit.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I think that's obviously correct. And
If Nick is on fear, then I agree you have to play into the GV here. You just have to do it. But if you are not on fear and he is on the Butterfly Monk book, which he's holding the dice like it is a Butterfly Monk book, then Nick is in a position where we're going to go top of round with Inquisitor's going to get to keep that Hammer Knight and a Golden Veil. And that feels pretty good probably for Inquisitor here. We'll see probably PB guard from this now, I would imagine, to protect that owl, which we do.
Right. And I think the owl will be finished off by the butterfly.
Agreed.
Before the end of this round. Unless he's like there's literally only 2 cards he could play, right? Off of single frog. I guess he could have Nature's Wrath, but that does nothing.
Right. So we do see 1 dice spend here to just deal 1 damage to 3-eyed owl, holding that last card. So
interesting.
Does Nick have Magic Siphon in his list?
I think so, but I think in general, like he does. He has 3 Magic Siphons. I think in general, like he just didn't want to trade fear for GV there because that was the most obvious GV that we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like with him going first in this round, there's a chance he doesn't roll snake and he can just do it immediately.
Well, you pin 1. You always are going to pin the 1, so you're never going to be.
Oh, right. He had the dice left over.
Right. So, yeah. So you still have to have Magic Siphon to be able to like roll down. And now with the double power side rolled here from Inquisitor, it's going to be very difficult unless Nick happened to draw into 2 Magic Siphons this round, which would be.
He just has to overload the Golden Veil. He knows there's only 1.
Right. So at this point, like, do you have the Fester, Ping Fester, into fear, something like that? You just got to get this. You're going to have to get this Golden Veil out of hand. You can't be scared of it or try to play around it forever. You'll just lose too much board state.
He has plenty of time to play around it right now.
Sure.
Like he's not that far behind on board. Like he is behind, obviously, but not
by about a half a dice, yeah.
Yeah. So not by like a lot. And you just don't want to, like, if he was on fear, you just don't want to spend your card plus the guy that you sack to it to just get countered. So you want to look for the opportunity to do better, and that's what he's doing. Unfortunately for him, he's just getting cammed, and Inquisitor rolled insane.
Yep. Looks like Inquisitor rolling 1 basic here in round 2. That's pretty impressive.
4 power sides.
Pretty impressive.
This was an above average roll, but I'm not sure that this game would go to decking. I know the last time I watched Inquisitor play went to decking, but the Nick deck just seems to be pretty aggressive, so at least it has in the other games that we've watched. Get my water. I'm parched.
All right, so Nick just goes ahead and values another Frostback Bear here.
Yeah, I think this is good. Like, he's really daring the Hammer Knight to attack, right? Like, essentially, like right now, this Hammer Knight would get Phoenixborn guarded ASAP. You don't want to get 2 for 1 by it. But
well, I'm assuming that if you're going to use Hammer Knight at this stage of the game, if you do suspect that fear or a double removal here in this round, then you're definitely going to Hunter's Mark here. You're going to mark prey and be able to hunt one of these bears and get the Salamander Monk Spirit off the board as well.
Which I think Nick would be fine with. Because obviously, like, I don't think Nick has another joke. Like, there's no way he's playing around Hunter's Mark. So if he spends the mark and the Hammer Knight attack to kill a bear and a Monk Spirit, like...
Do we have a Crescendo from Inquisitor, though? That would be a very powerful to double remove bear and wipe Nick's board with this 1 Hammer Knight. That'd be one heck of it. Yep, here comes the Crescendo.
That's pretty good.
Here comes the Crescendo, folks. We're going to see all of Nick's board get wiped out by a Hammer Knight attack into Crescendo here. Wow.
But
wow.
This is good. I mean, obviously, like, he traded uh he traded up like 2 dice off this Hammer Knight or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's huge. Huge.
well, it's fine. The Hammer Knight is easily killed now, right? Like
Right.
Hammer Knight is just dead to like activation of Essence Druid Book.
Right,
So,
but you're only. I mean, the Herald player's only still showing 5 dice in their ready spell slots. So, I mean, he still has 4 more dice he can play from hand. There could be another Hammer Knight here. I mean,
if Herald continues to apply pressure, there's going to be a problem. But
right.
I think like that play was not something that Nick could play around.
No.
So it's going to happen, but the Hammer Knight having 3 damage on it, like, can easily just be even nature pinged or whatever before the end of this
right.
round. And so that Hammer Knight is kind of done with. And it did cost him like +3 dice or whatever, and a bunch of tempo. But he's still got 5 cards in it. He's got 8 dice to play with in a monk book. He's behind a little bit because there can be a bear and an owl this turn out of the Herald.
Mm-hmm. And a Mindfog Owl. I mean, and a 3-eyed owl, excuse me. So
yeah, the 3-eyed owl like is okay. I think it's low on his priority list. If he has the additional dice to do it, he'll do it. But
curious to see if we see Nick bring Master Vampire back out of the discard pile here. I mean,
I think it's likely that he has a knight of some kind in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to like come back a little bit. So I think you would rather be spending his dice on actual cards rather than like having the luxury to draw a specific one.
So Nick meditates to make a ceremonial.
The Huntmaster's gone. There goes a Butterfly Monk book.
So he is setting up the Fester Ping play. So if there is another knight coming from Inquisitor, Nick looks like he's ready for that, possibly alongside maybe a Fear play, just as a way to overload that Golden Veil that's sitting in hand.
What's interesting here is like, if you just... Oh, he didn't leave up a frog. That's interesting. See, I think that like... And this is good because it gives you a little bit of initiative, like, and you're safe from Hunter's Mark.
Right.
Because he's a long ways from playing Consume Spirit. Consume Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, if he had like some attackers in play or whatever, you might be worried about the Consume. But here with his board tapped out and you just play a knight into it, like it gives you a lot of like combat initiative.
Inquisitor rolling up in to show that Fester here. Pester. Killer Cactus wants to call Ping Fester Pester. I can get behind that, Killer. I can get behind that.
He makes an owl. I guess this is okay. It just like gives you 2 main actions, I guess.
What I would call this owl is I want to punt back to you. I'm not ready to commit a play right now, so here's my owl.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think that I would have rather just like played a Mind Fog and said, what are you going to do? Like he doesn't care
well, this
if
does...
the Mind Fog gets attacked by
the threat of Ping Fester here against this Hammer Knight is a real problem for Nick, right? Like,
well, it's interesting to me that he didn't when he meditated earlier in this round that he didn't leave up another frog, because just frog like could draw out the Golden Veil at this juncture, right? Like,
right.
Like if you frog ping Hammer Knight to death, I assume you Golden Veil it.
Here is the Ping Fester play, folks. So there goes Hammer Knight.
Why did he make I guess he wanted to see him spend some dice first.
Who are we talking about here? Nick? Or
I was wondering why he didn't do that instead of the owl last turn.
Well, he had to meditate into the frog. He didn't have it.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine. That makes sense.
So now we're going to see Salamander attack. Probably get the Herald block here, but maybe he'll let the Hammer Knight just go, knowing that it's very unlikely that Nick is going to...
I would for sure PB block.
Sure. And there is PB block.
Yeah,
if he is sitting on, he can't play another knight, right?
who?
Inquisitor. Inquisitor's out of dice for knight types here. So
I mean, he could play Huntmaster. Do you have a Huntmaster?
I don't know. So Nick discards
He
a
does,
magic
he
siphon.
does have a Huntmaster, so he like that would be like his biggest threat.
I'd be curious to see. So here comes Butterfly Monk. So Nick is getting his spell board set up now. Did discard the magic siphon. Interesting decision there. I wonder what those last 2 cards are that he values with only 4 dice remaining. One's a fear. We know that for sure.
Well, Magic Siphon just isn't very impactful, so I'm sure it was the other 2 cards are more impactful than that.
Well, when you're rolling, when you don't necessarily roll super well, it does keep your deck size up a little bit. When you land on so much stuff, yeah, there could be a Druid Cactus. That's a possibility. I do think Inquisitor has a Druid in his deck. But Druid,
Yeah, he does have 1 SS Druid.
Druid might be really bad if Nick is on like double removal here. We just don't know for sure. He is threatening. He still has the dice to threaten double removal. Like if he meditates into double frogs, then I think you're looking at a Butterfly Monk play into, Ping Fester and then Fear Overload. But yeah, that last Golden Veil is a real problem. So there's basically 1 playable left in Inquisitor's hand. We know the other card is Golden Veil. Most likely know that Nick's 5th card is Fear. We'll find out probably post game on that. But
I think this is really interesting because Nick is playing in a way that he's like this Hammer Knight's gonna die to like one of his crappy little dudes, and there's nothing that Harold can do about it. Unless he, I guess you could like meditate heavily to get some frogs up or whatever. But it seems like that Hammer Knight's just gonna like get attacked by a 1/1 before the end of this round.
Well, Nick's only gonna have one left here, and that's the Butterfly Monk. So you're right. If the Herald player sees this and decides to meditate into the natural power dice, he would have time then to react to that Butterfly Monk and not allow it to attack the Hammer Knight. And if he can successfully protect this Hammer Knight this round,
well,
look out.
He would have had to have done it last turn, right? Or did he just play the book?
Yeah, he just played the book now.
Okay,
It's currently Inquisitor's turn.
Yeah, he has this.
He has this turn to make that happen if that's something he sees.
But I think it's good on Nick just like to use this positioning like to leave the GV in his hand, because he drew 1 less card last turn because of it, and the Jessa player also drew 1 less card. But I think you'd rather have a fear than a random card in your deck most times.
Well, I'd be curious. Like Nick can make like what we would look at as a less obvious fear play here, but he could fear a Frostback Bear if it comes into play and really pressure. Does Inquisitor want to use that Golden Veil to protect Frostback Bear? How much does he value that Frostback Bear at this particular stage? I would
probably do it if I had the dice, just to be dice and card efficient.
So we see
if we get to that juncture,
we see Nick go ahead and immediately spend a die. He is fearing here, so he is going to.
He played Blood Chains.
Oh, Blood Chains. I'm sorry. And he is going to exhaust. Is he going to exhaust the Mindfog Owl or double exhaust the Hammer Knight? Where are we at? I assume
he's going to exhaust Owl and attack Hammer Knight. Is what's going to happen.
Well, he can't do that right away, but yeah.
Right, but because he, like we were talking about, he didn't meditate to Frog Ping. Nothing would stop the monk. I mean, maybe he has like a Nature's Wrath or something that doesn't seem very good here either, because that kills the Hammer Knight anyway.
Yeah. We see Nick in the tank about what to do with this Blood Chains here.
I think he already targeted. I think we're waiting on Inquisitor, and Inquisitor is deciding whether or not he's going to Golden Veil it.
Yep.
Because you have to choose the target before.
That's true. And that he goes in and lets the Mindfog Owl get exhausted here.
That indicates to me that he has some other like he's more worried about the fear That's a good point, Killer Cactus. The side action snake power might be pretty good right now.
Nick goes ahead and meditates up at least one here. Does see a vampire go by for that. Just getting ready to make that butterfly monk. I guess
this is like a backup frog. Well, I guess it makes a for the butterfly monk. That's easy. Because we think that his last card is fear. We're like 95% on that.
So if Inquisitor does play a knight, he can't play Frostback Bear. If he plays an Essence Druid here, if it is Frostback Bear, then he can't play the Essence Druid that may be sitting in hand. We're not really sure for 100% here what that second card is.
Yeah, Inquisitor's other card that's not GV could be anything. His deck is all 1-ofs.
Right.
He's just playing Highlander. And but Frostback Bear is good enough, probably. Like, he's going to end this turn again, barring anything crazy, up several dice.
Way up on dice.
Well, no, the Hammer Knight's going to die.
Well, he's going to have a Bear, Mindfog Owl, and 3-Eyed Owl most likely in play still.
Right, so he'll be up like 4 dice. 3.5 dice. The Owl, I think, the 3-Eyed Owl, I think, is not a huge consideration anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there is a line here for Inquisitor where he could play Frostback Bear into Charm Power to turn the Salamander Monk's Spirit off. And that could be, and he does do the Charm Power. We see that happen.
Yeah, Inquisitor loves to Charm Power stuff. He did it a bunch of times against Carl also. And I think it's a good play. So now we know he's not doing anything else with this turn, just holding that Golden Veil for the fear.
Has Nick had any other fears go by? He has not. So with 2 more fears in the deck, assuming the last fear is in hand right now,
and 2 more festers, we're at a juncture now where this Hammer Knight is gonna die. Like, it could die it'll die to a Butterfly Monk or to a Frog Ping or whatever. And the fear and the fester are okay, but it looks a lot worse against the Bear and the Owl than it does against the Knight. That's why I like these mid-range threats so much. These 2/2s for 2, that because fester trades even with them, and I mean, fear essentially trades even with them. It's usually slightly in favor of the fear, but obviously it's a loyalty card, so that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, BD Wayne brings up a good point in chat. He says Nick has a line where he can ping the Hammer Knight here. Then if it gets GV'd, then plays Fear into kill Bear and still kill the Knight with Butterfly Monk. But yeah, I think if that's going to happen, you're gonna let the Hammer Knight just go down.
He's not going to GV the Hammer Knight because he knows the Hammer Knight can die to Monk.
Right.
Which I assume is what's happening.
Well, the Hammer Knight can't die to Monk because it's charmed. The Monk is 0 attack now. So it's going to have to be...
the Butterfly Monk, not the...
Oh, yeah.
He's going to have another 1/1 this turn. I think he's making it right now, but I'm not sure because he spent that frog. I think
he's nature pinging.
Did he ping it? And we're thinking on GV
now we're thinking on GV again. Yep, I think we're back to GV thoughts. And I think we just saw Inquisitor spend the GV, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, it'd be on the top of his discard pile, and it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he GVs this, that's an awful misplay.
Yep.
Okay.
He lets it go down. So now I think it feels a little better if you fear your Salamander Monk Spirit to try to get the Bear and bait GV out of hand. Because now
still feels pretty bad.
Yeah, but the Bear. I mean, so one of the things you're going to run into. Yeah, you just have to get it out. I think that bottom line is that if you are playing, there's one GV here, so you can either continue to hold and try to draw, but you just continue to lose more and more board state, or you spend your card, you force the GV out, and know that next round you might draw into 1 removal and put you back in the driver's seat after this round. So we're going to see Frostback Bear hit Nick here for 2.
Yeah, And looking at the list, there's not really anything better. Well, so there's just no big dudes left in the Herald list.
And Nick does meditate a fear away here to be able to make this butterfly monk. That's a big hit.
It doesn't matter that much. He's got 4 removal spells left still.
Yep.
And like I was saying, like there's just no more giant threats in the Herald list left. The Hammer Knight and the Vampire are gone. So he could like ceremonial them back or whatever, but he doesn't even need to because he's got his 2/2 books going.
Even if he does ceremonial back, he's only got 1 ceremonial dice in the deck. So the issue you have is ceremonial back, you still can't play it in the round you ceremonial it back. So I think
that's what I'm saying is like the value of the Jessa removal spells has gone way down.
Yeah, the Herald is now just
Bear is like the best thing you can hit with it.
Yeah, Herald's now just living on his ready spells at this point to finish this off.
Yeah, I mean he's got a lot of good cards to draw. It's just not a threat that he's going to draw anymore. It's just like card advantage grindy stuff.
So Nick is in the tank here thinking about what he wants to do.
Well, yeah, he's deciding if he thinks he should fester or fear now.
I think you have to, right? Like, even if it gets the GV out, like, I think you have to. What are you going to do?
He's going to attack. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to attack also, so you might as well just, like, postpone the decision.
Yeah.
I don't think Nick's going to do it just because that's how he played last turn.
Inquisitor passes.
Yeah, for the second time.
Yep.
Inquisitor's done. Obviously, he can't play his other card for 1 snake. So all he has is the GV. I guess I'd probably play fear. I don't know. It's so rough. Like you just like 2 for 1 yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there is a chance that Inquisitor didn't start it, right, and it just bluffed it the whole game. But I think that's pretty unlikely.
That sounds pretty bad.
Yeah. So here is the fear.
Okay.
We are going to see fear, and I think you take the Monk Spirit, of course. Yeah. And target the Frostback Bear and see if Inquisitor is going to protect that bear. Yep. There is the Golden Veil to cancel it. But I think you have to do that. You have to force the card out.
Like, because you have limited resources, like you just don't want to strand that dice. And now we're playing fair, except that he's up 4 dice on him.
And so we're going to go into round 3 here. Inquisitor is going to go first on the top of round 3 here. So we should see a 4-point attack from Inquisitor pretty easily before you get potentially overloaded by removal from the Jessa list. So
I don't think the Jessa list can keep up with the removal now, because the using fear or pester, I guess, as we're calling it now, on a 3 dice threat that's like the core of your turn is one thing, but when you're making bear plus mind fog, all of a sudden you're on this double threat plan, and it doesn't cost you cards in hand, and you're like, removal spells are like gonna get you behind, especially fear, because it removes stuff from your board.
To be totally fair, like this is not looking great at this particular stage in the game for the Jessa player.
Yeah, I mean, what he needs to like stick a Hammer Knight, because that's much like a Hammer Knight or a Vamp is way better than Fester or Fear here. Like at dealing with these littler guys in play.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see that happen here. Jessa has the ability to recur both of those out of the discard if he hasn't drawn additional ones from his pile.
He's got a single crescendo left. He's got 3 Festers, and obviously the Hunter's Mark always. I guess you can't just like run a knight into one of these 2/2s plus Mark. Yeah, this is ugh.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the mark is there,
so good.
Yeah, as long as the mark is still available and the Consumed Soul is still out there, I think the Jessa player's in a lot of trouble. But So I think it's possible that we could see Nick continue to try to make these butterfly monks and then sack them to just continue to try to like offset. But yeah, I think
because they don't even block. Like that's like the thing that makes butterfly monks so good is that you can just like chump their guys, but it can't block either of the guys.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not able to stick a knight until after the hunter's mark has been exhausted. So either you're giving up your frostback bear, you're spending 2 dice to get hunters marked on your frostback bear, or you're not playing knights. Like and the herald player just holds the hunter's mark.
As soon as he plays 1 consume, you're just dead.
Yeah,
like because if you make a bear to try to like bait the hunter's mark, and he hunter's marks it, and then he consumes, then you just go home sad.
Right. So here's a 4-point attack we were talking about top of round from Inquisitor.
This is fine. I see the problem with this play is that it lets him play a knight now.
Does Nick have a 3rd Nature's Wrath in his list?
I don't know. He does. There are 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, a Nature's Wrath is also a fairly reasonable answer to that Mindfog Owl hanging out there.
Yeah, it's not good for him, though. It's those dudes. So, like I was saying, one problem with that attack he just made is that that would have given Nick an opportunity to play Hammer Knight or something, or better yet, a Vampire, because he wouldn't have the dude in play to, like, mark attack it.
So not playing that would probably indicate Nick is not holding a knight in that 5-card hand right now.
Yeah, it depends on how he thinks the rest of it is going to go. I don't think it automatic. I think it means he doesn't have a Vampire. I think if he had a Vampire, he would have played it there because he gets to play Vampire, and then Herald can mark it or whatever. But any dude that Herald makes that could attack the Vampire, he can hunt with the Vampire.
Right.
And the Vampire would die if his play was like mark Vampire, make Owl. Then the counter from the Owl would kill the Vampire with the Hunter's mark, but you would get your value out of it at least.
Right.
But if Nick does have a knight and like a fear or something, I guess he would have to have double fear. Or fear or fester. Or whatever.
Well, double fear is definitely not going to be possible for Nick here because we saw 1 fear get meditated by. So we're at 1 fear left in the deck.
Removal.
Yeah.
Then he can like kill the 2/2s that are coming out this turn and try and stick the knight after.
Now we're going to get a card. Pulls a Final Cry. I guess Nick's not valuing this burn damage. Makes me interested in what he's got in hand.
I think that card's like very not impactful at all on this board. Like, you're never going to win the race to like what is essentially like 8 unblockable damage every turn. So you want to keep your cards that play to the board or deal with his guys rather than like 1 dice deal 2.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'll be curious to see if you. I just don't think that Jessa can play to Herald's board. Like in general, I just don't think that's possible.
Well, it is very hard, but I mean. I do not think he's winning the game off of a Final Cry.
So Nick goes ahead and screams here. Kills the Mindfog Owl with the Salamander Monk and screams for 1 damage. So that's the first scream activation for Nick this game. Putting 4th point of damage on Inquisitor here.
That's a fine play. Like we know that some random 1/1 is going to finish up that owl at some point in the turn.
This is where I think like I said, if your plan, though, is to start screaming a ton and trying to just, like, slowly build your way back to a winnable board state by using bears with removal and those kinds of things, then I think Final Cry is very powerful. Like, because
I would rather spend 1 dice for 1 damage and no cards against an owl. Like we're down to where he has 8 cards in his pile left, right? So that's not decking for like 3 rounds, maybe 4, and then not fatiguing for 5. But if he rolls poorly in one of the next 2 rounds, like he could get decked by this owl. And so I think the value of like because of Mindfog Owl, discarding Final Cry is a better use for it than burning him. And if you're like, the Scream is fine if you don't have 10 dice to play with. But I would rather spend 1 dice for 1 damage and not play a card than 1 dice for 1 damage and play a card against the possibility of getting decked by Mindfog. Mindfog, Three-Eyed.
Inquisitor makes a Mindfog Owl here. Just going to be back on trying to build the 4 damage unblockable combo here.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just like a very safe action to take.
If the Herald player makes a bear, then you can trade your Mindfog Owl into his bear with a Hunter's Mark, but that is a risk as far as being able to put a knight back out into play from Nick, which could flip the script pretty quickly if we do see a knight.
Yeah, I mean, the Herald player is likely to have a Consumed Soul in hand, and if he like attacks a haunted thing and consumes this game is like unwinnable for Jessa.
It's definitely feeling like we're
fighting. I mean, that's how you should play it. That's how Nick has played this matchup in the other 2 games we've played as well. He plays to the board, and then his screams are like, maybe 3 or 4 times a game, and it's usually like 1 in round 3 and then 3 in round 4, and the game ends. It's not a burn deck. This is definitely a battlefield deck.
So there's the Frostback Bear. So we'll see if this turns into a Hunter's Mark Consume Soul play.
Yeah, that's kind of like, if that happens, it has to feel so bad for Nick.
I mean, you really can't play around it, right? Like, there's no way to play
obviously
around
there's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
It just like, that's why he makes the bear, right? Because you can't play around it, so gotta make him have it.
So Inquisitor just makes another owl. That would indicate he still wants to protect that Mindfog Owl Frostback Bear play in some way.
From Inquisitor's point of view, he is under no pressure. He doesn't have to do anything.
Right.
Like, he can just make this 3-eyed and wait. Obviously he's playing around he thinks he's playing around some kind of removal, and he probably is. Like, the Jessa deck has a million removal spells. So by not making your bear until very late in the round, you're giving the Jessa player the least amount of time to kill it.
And you're only committing 1 dice here, so one of the value adds you get out of that is, and Nick's going to attack this Mindfog Owl, but Nick has spent 4 dice to 3 dice on the Herald side here. So,
and this is the downside of not using your time to, not using your Hunter's Mark on it. Is that it gets to attack. He chooses not to PB guard. I think that's fine.
So now we'll see if Nick is on the screen plan for this Mindfog Owl going down as well. Nope. Kind of depends. Nope, he did pass that window of opportunity there. So we'll see.
I mean, the 1 screen was fine. He probably just calculated that he only had 9 dice worth of things he wanted to do. So,
I'll see another owl hit here. Most likely would be my guess. I don't think you're going to see the Frostback Bear come into play. Although this is a good opportunity to bring Frostback Bear if you suspect your opponent is on any sort of night play.
Right. So I don't think Inquisitor is going to do it because he's been playing very, very, he's been playing really, really safe around these removal spells. And I don't know if that's the correct line, but it's a fine line. It's not going to lose him the game. So I think he'll probably just memory drain him.
So Inquisitor uses a nature to deal 1 damage to the Frostback Bear to clear it.
The Frostback, yeah. I guess that's okay. It was going to happen sometime. Yeah, there's the memory drain.
Okay. So Nick has double discarded a second Final Cry. Yep. So just was on to Final Cry. Owl took the last Final Cry here.
Not a good draw even against what's going on here.
Yeah, these last 3 cards will be interesting to see what they are. With Nick holding that Frostback Bear, or with Inquisitor holding that Frostback Bear back, it's still really dictating Nick's plays quite a bit. Like, I'm sure what we'll most likely see is just make a Butterfly Monk and pass, but he does meditate a Bloodchains.
Meditates for a horse.
Yep. What could he be playing on? Master Vampire.
Vampire.
Yep. So he's just going to put the Vamp in play and let it trade with the Bear if you get marked.
Right. I mean, the advantage of if he has Vamp and that's what he's doing, the advantage of doing that is that if the Vamp dies to mark while it's attacking, it can't get consumed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
So that's good because Nick is also still showing Hammer Knight. I don't know if he has one left, but
yeah,
there's one left.
We could definitely see that last card be a Hammer Knight. We've seen Nick do that.
That would be really really good actually if Inquisitor's play here is mark, make bear, then you like hunt the bear and trade. Then Inquisitor has to do something, and then you play Hammer Knight. Because they're in that turn of events, there will not be a mark for the Hammer Knight.
We're right at the hour mark on this tournament here, in this game, about 5 minutes to the full hour, but no time limits this season. So
yeah, so he hunts it. I assume that means he'll make bear.
Yep.
Interesting that the Herald player like just has 5 cards in hand and 6 dice. Well,
yeah.
4 dice after he makes bear.
Yep.
Maybe he'll play something else. If he plays he doesn't have a 4 life unit left. I was like, if he plays a 4 life unit here, then that's just terrible for Nick. But
yeah,
I guess he has a frog ping, but it'd still be bad.
I mean, most likely that's going to turn into a Butterfly Monk book. Butterfly Monk summon.
We're just like, if you're rooting for Nick, we're rooting for Hammer Knight.
Yeah, I'm not rooting for either player. I just think that the likelihood of that having last Hammer Knight in hand right now is probably a little low. So you most likely suspect that
he's got to have something, right? Because he's only got like there's 9 cards, 2 cards in hand, 7 cards in pile. Inquisitor DC'd.
Yeah, I just copied the game file just in case we get a full.
Is that like a new thing they added? You can.
No, it's down here at the bottom. This little copy button. So, and Inquisitor's back now. I just wanted to make sure in case we had another issue like we had the other night.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want any DC shenanigans. Obviously, no shenanigans, just annoyances.
So there is the Frostback Bear.
Yep.
Now, interestingly enough, like, you're going to trade into this bear.
Well, okay, so if he has a removal spell, then he can kill the bear. Like,
yeah. We do see a single dice spend into destroying the fear.
Like fear, yeah.
Yeah, last fear gets played here to kill this bear.
Now this is even better because he still has a vamp. He's gonna have another Butterfly Monk.
Yep.
And I guess
could be a Bloodchains. I mean, potential for that.
Right. I don't know what his last card is. He meditated to a.
There's the Bloodchains goes by, so I think that's 3 Bloodchains. No, that's two Bloodchains.
I think he meditated to ceremonial, so I assume he's going to get back a Knight as his like last action in the round.
Yeah.
If this is an Essence Fruit, it's really problematic.
Yes.
Because the vampire can't kill it.
No. Could be a Fester in hand. He could still be holding Fester in hand though.
sure. I mean, if he has a Fester in hand, I guess that having the Fester and the Frog Ping plays around the Essence Druid. If he has, I guess Crescendo doesn't do anything because they have any guys to attack with. So he needs to make a unit for Snake, Snake, Horse, Horse.
So if he does have
he could
Essence
have Beast
Druid,
Tamer, he could have Essence Druid.
Yeah. If he does have the Essence Druid, you'll most likely see the Three-Eyed Owl book get consumed for the Meditate to bring the Essence Druid online. And then he'll get the Owl book back to be able to make another Owl, make third Owl.
That would be fine value. It just like if he has either of the two tame units, then this vampire is looking real sad. The Beast Tamer has tame 1, right? It's a 2/3.
It's a 2/3 tame 1, yes.
Yeah, so Vamp doesn't kill it.
Right. And has alert.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter very much in the current state. It
does allow the Beast Tamer to counter swing into the Jessa.
Yeah, I think it would do that anyway. Like, what's going to happen if he has Beast Tamer is he's going to play Beast Tamer. Vampire is going to like attack Frostback Bear, and then Beast Tamer is going to kill Vampire. Unless he has the Fester, then he'll Fester it because he wants to save his Vamp.
Right.
But he really doesn't want to do that. Okay.
There's a Flute Mage. Okay, so we'll see this bear get untapped now.
Right, which is very similar to what we were saying before, where when he had Hunt, Vamp, make Bear, because now the vampire is probably going to trade with this bear.
It's possible. He may untap a Three-Eyed Owl here, just get the last card from Nick's hand.
That seems really bad.
We've seen him do it in the past, though.
Be bad or like
no, it's untap Owl. I mean, that's how he got Carl. Was Flute Mage into untap Owl, pull
right, but that game was very different.
Oh, I agree. But I'm just saying,
where there's a vampire that can eat your bear. Oh my god.
Well, because we're down to 6 cards, so this puts Nick on 2 rounds to fatigue. And Nick certainly doesn't look like he's holding all the cards, if you will, to do this. And if you take Master Vampire into Owl, though,
like 2 turns to fatigue is the same whether he discards that card or not, and it's the same by a wide margin, right? Like,
well, but if he takes a Vampire into Owl now, if Nick takes Vampire into Owl, you save your bear.
That's not going to happen. He's going to kill Frostback Bear. Like, the Frostback Bear is going to get attacked by this vampire, whether it's untapped or not. That's why I think you should untap your bear to kill the vamp. Like, one of the ways that Nick comes out of this game is by starting the turn with a vampire in play and going first. And one of the ways that you are going to win this game is by decking him, whether it's 1 card faster or not. Like, I think that this is a very low impact play.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that Inquisitor has him on Fester for sure, like 100%. And if this last card is a Fester, then this is better than untapping Bear. That's the only situation that's true.
Well, we're going to find out what Nick's plan is here.
I mean, he doesn't have to attack now. He can do other stuff. Like,
yeah, he's gonna take advantage of this though, and he does attack the bear.
There's nothing to take advantage of. He would still have that attack the following round. Like, that's what I'm saying. Is like,
well, that's not necessarily true because if Inquisitor is holding another Crescendo, I don't know how many Crescendos he has, but he is showing Crescendo dice, so it's possible he could actually attack with the Owl and Crescendo in to kill Vampire. Like, that's another potential play we may have here.
Yeah, but if he's going to do that, why wouldn't you just untap Bear and save your Crescendo?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Again, it's just trying to force Nick maybe to attack the owl instead. I don't know. And then you save your bear. I mean, I'm not sure what Inquisitor's thinking, so I can't.
Yeah,
but he does play Sympathy Pain off that dice instead to put 2 damage on the vampire and destroy it that way. So he does get the vampire down just through.
How did the sympathy pain happen?
He took. I don't know. Oh, Nick screamed him.
Oh, okay. I was really confused.
Yeah, Nick screamed him.
Yep. Okay. So the last card was Fester.
Mm-hmm.
I still think you're supposed to untap bear. You just be up a sympathy pain.
So I think you're going to start to just see some piddly attacks now. Probably take this flute mage out of play.
Oh, he's got PB guard still.
Yeah, but he's going to have 3 1/1s.
Right. Okay.
Or he has 2 1/1s and a nature ping, however he values that.
Is it better to kill? Yeah, it must be better to kill flute mage. It could be an owl if it wanted to be, but it has the potential to be better. So that's probably where you should attack.
So here we see Salamander Monk Spirit attack into flute mage. And the flute mage just takes it on this one. I'm sure we're just going to get a set of passes from Inquisitor here. I don't know what that last.
Well, he can shrink. He can shrink the butterfly monk, and it'll save the flute mage.
That's true. Well, it won't once you nature ping it.
So. Well, he can't nature ping it and make a 1/1.
Right, but I mean, what I'm saying is,
I guess he can nature ping it. So
yeah, he does shrink the butterfly monk here.
So you should have PB guarded and shrunk.
Yeah, if that was your plan,
and then he would make a butter. So
Nick's just going to make the butterfly monk anyways and not care.
Right, and I think that's actually better.
So Nick can just attack face here with this butterfly monk and just not care about the flute mage anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably attack flute mage just to give him the
choice.
Like give your opponent the potential misplay, but I assume that Inquisitor is good enough he's going to PB guard. Does it have recover? Well, it has recover one also.
Yeah, that's why.
This is the best PB guard you've ever PB guarded. There it is. Okay.
Yeah. That's why I think it's possible that the nature ping was better there, BD, was just because you would guarantee the kill of the flute mage versus the 1 point of damage on Inquisitor's Herald. But
it's so rough because these butterfly monks are going to be important in winning, but also they still just don't block Frostback Bear.
No.
Man, Frostback Bear is so good. Frostback Bear is everything. It literally does everything. It's good in every kind of deck.
I agree.
It's good against control because it's beefy and efficient and it's recurable. It's good against aggro because it has 3 toughness. It's good against jump blockers because they can never block it.
Yeah, it does seem like Nick potentially misplayed that attack sequence there just a little bit. Because I mean,
I think that Nick didn't look at the snake probably on his opponent's board. Because you're right. I think that was you would have been better off attacking an owl because at least it wouldn't recover.
Yeah, or just attacking face. Yeah, because you could have just gone face there.
And it might have. It's certainly possible that Frog Ping on Flute Mage would have been better.
So Nick's going to go Magic Siphon here. Start trying to probably recur some knights from the discard pile would be my guess here. I doubt he's going to start interacting with.
I bet he changes all his own dice because he doesn't want to meditate anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is just you're going to see.
Yep.
His own dice get changed here. He's gonna make Inquisitor earn all 5 of these cards, but Inquisitor is gonna put Nick in fatigue damage this round at the end of this round.
These owls are gonna eat him alive.
Yep.
Just the way that turned out with the owl untap turned out fine for Inquisitor. I still think it was better to untap Bear because like you don't use your sympathy pain probably that turn, but you still have it now. Like it'd be unnecessary for you to play it.
I mean, Nick has just got to be on like continue to make butterfly monks, right? And what's the conjuration limit on these things? They're 2. So he's now at a stage where he's going to have to start sacking them somehow, just to be able to.
Now we're like 100% that he has a Hammer Knight in hand. Oh, I guess 75%.
Right.
One of the 4 cards is a Magic Siphon. One of the 4 cards is a Fester. One of the 4 cards is a Hammer Knight. And the last card is Nature's Wrath. So Nature's Wrath, Hammer Knight, Fester.
Nature's Wrath looks pretty good in this attack just because if you throw Three-Eyed Owl in front of this or Flute Mage in front of this, you do get Nature's Wrath value out of that.
I find this interesting because I don't think that there's any world where you would want to block with anything as a Herald player.
Yeah, I don't
take 3.
Yeah, because you can just right now you're set up to strip 3 cards from your opponent's hand with the Flute Mage Three-Eyed Owl combo.
Yeah, or just attack him a bunch. Like you still have book activate and stuff.
Oh sure, but I mean you might as well take the cards also. You don't have to commit to the board yet.
I don't think that you should commit your Flute Mage until like late in the turn because you might be better off untapping a bear or something.
So BD's Inquisitor is in the tank thinking about this block here though.
Because what does this put him at? It puts him at like 7 left.
9, so he'd have 7 health remaining. So he does put an owl in front of a butterfly monk. I don't think he'll probably commit that Flute Mage.
This is okay. I mean, the difference between fatiguing him for 3 and fatiguing him for 2 is not very much, I don't think.
Now, will Nick go ahead and ping that owl at this stage?
I don't think so. Because we know one of his 4 cards remaining to play the game with is Nature's Wrath.
How many sympathy pains does the Inquisitor have left?
1. Well, I guess
he's played 1.
There are 2 in the deck.
Yeah, so he's got a chance that he's got another sympathy pain. He's holding correct dice to do it. Okay, so
this looks like a sympathy pain. Is he just goes face with it? Yeah.
Yep. Goes face to Nick on that one. Taking Nick to 9. I mean, the Herald player's still got some work to do, but Nick is going to start taking some serious fatigue damage here.
Not very much work. He just has to like not die and not deck himself.
Right.
I mean, Jessa can do some screams or whatever, but he's just all in on the owl.
He's just planning to full mill now. That's his plan. Full mill. Go to fatigue.
I just don't know what he's playing around by. Like, I guess this is kind of safe because there's no threats to block on the other side or anything, but right. I don't know. Maybe I'm too greedy, but I would want to untap an attacker.
I just don't think you have to win that way. Like, you're currently sitting in the driver's seat where you don't have to win that way. You can just go long.
Right. I mean, my play would be not use it at all for a long time.
Sure.
Until I see what my opponent's doing. Because, like, if he had just made Frostback Bear last turn, he would have the initiative, but now he doesn't. Like, especially with Hunter's Mark at your side, you should try to keep a 2-power attacker in play, like, at all times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think he's on a different... I mean, he has pivoted away from any attack damage as a source of how he's going to win this game.
Right. It's just... because he has second Owl and Owl Book untapped, if he wants to make that play, he can do it at any time in the turn. And by making a 2-power attacker last turn, he essentially stops Nick from having any possibility of ever beating him.
Sure.
And by not doing that, now... he opens, like, he just like cracks the door a little bit. He's like, hey, you can, maybe come in if you do some crazy magic. But I don't think it's going to matter in the long run. I just think I think making it like a mind fog there would have been better. Because he has a Hammer Knight left. And not that I think Hammer Knight kills you in time, but like it is an actual win condition. But it's not a win condition if you just have 2 power guy plus Hunter's Mark waiting for it all the time.
Interestingly enough, only the Nature's Wrath is going to clear Nick's board to open up that Hammer Knight play. Because everything else, he's out of self-sack outlets.
Yeah, I mean, we know he's going to do that, though, because he still has 2 books to activate.
Yeah.
And, he only has so many game actions left, right? Like, the Fester's gone. So his last 3 cards are Nature's Wrath, Hammer Knight, and whatever else I said. Magic Siphon.
Right. And
Magic Siphon doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you can't really play the last Magic Siphon right now. I think it's you just got to save that for an owl head.
Just keep it in your pile to take less fatigue.
Yeah.
The
downside if you Nature's Wrath now with putting 1 damage on that owl, well, here's the med, so we are going to see an Essence Druid now. This is brutal. So here comes the Essence Druid. This will probably be potentially the nail in the coffin here, right?
Well, he was dead already. I mean, it's like we're a turn later now, but I think any 2 power guy last turn would have been the nail in the coffin. Now this is the nail in the coffin a turn later. Because
he hit the Fester with that. It's interesting that Nick valued the Magic Siphon over the Fester. I think I'd have helped Fester just knowing that Essence Druid still existed in the list.
Well, I mean, he's at a place where I don't think he can play around Essence Druid. Essence Druid specifically is like the best one because it like stops everything from killing it. But like,
well, but what I mean is you're holding the natural ping Fester dice. So if you think that your opponent's on play Essence Druid this round, then you've got the removal, and you just discarded the removal to memory drain.
I guess discarding. I guess so. What this means is that his hand is Hammer Knight, Nature's Wrath, and the last card in his pile is Magic Siphon.
Right.
Because I think he would have discarded Magic Siphon given the opportunity.
Right.
And both Nature's Wrath and Hammer Knight are a million times better than Fester.
I think you gotta attack here. See if the Herald's gonna guard this Flute Mage. And the Flute Mage just goes down.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll see a Jessa scream here. We do.
Yep. I mean, Nick's playing good. Like, this is similar to the Carl match we watched where like he had to meditate aggressively in two rounds early, and then we just got to this like, guess I decked myself mode.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Inquisitor has stripped a lot of cards with owls over the 2 games we watched.
I mean, the random DCs for Hashtag, it's really too bad. I was telling the guys also, like, I still think that the tool is very worth it. To have Hashtag that as just a great thing for the community to have. So I guess I was wrong. He did have the Magic Siphon in hand.
I just find it interesting that's what he valued over the Fester.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. So what did I decide his last card? So he has Hammer Knight and what left over? Nature's Wrath. So one of those 2 cards in hand. And he did actually Magic Siphon his opponent there.
No. He's got 7.
And Inquisitor meditated, summoned 3-eyed. Now if this is a Nature's Wrath, he has to play it. If it's a Hammer Knight, it's just dead.
Yeah.
Because he won't be able to play it.
I think you're definitely going to Magic Siphon it, or Nature's Wrath if that's what the card is.
Right, you should play it rather than get it memory drained.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nick going back up to...
He gains his life off the mends from the monk.
Right. They're on the old table.
Yep. Yeah, so this game exceptionally long, but obviously this last part was a little longer due to the DC, not because of any particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we gonna have here? A monk and a monk?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because how do you get around the Essence Druid and win the game here?
His only chance is a bunch of screams. Uh,
So Nick will go or no, Inquisitor will go first next turn.
Right.
So
with a bunch of bears and stuff, probably.
yeah,
Unless something wacky happens, he's gonna have an owl and a bear in play.
so you're not going to get to play this Hammer Knight. So I guess you can recur a Hammer Knight from the bin at this point.
Why isn't he gonna get to play the Hammer Knight?
You can ceremonial a Hammer Knight from the discard.
Right. He could do that, or he could play monks. I mean, maybe Hammer Knight's good enough.
Well,
This Essence Druid is like killing it. Okay, so he's yeah, he can't even play Salamander because of his dice, so
right.
he must be ceremonialing.
Yep.
I was trying to look at his discard pile, but I had to sniff his discard pile. So
It feels pretty bad though to walk in an Essence Druid or walk into that Hunter's Mark with that Essence Druid out on this. But I guess you have to somehow get the Essence Druid down, right? So by dealing 2 to the Essence Druid, it leaves it with 1 in play as you go into the next round. So
but yeah, I really don't see it. Like yeah, I don't know what he's gonna do. So did he spend a ceremonial dice? I didn't like it looked like he did.
he did. It looked like it. I think he's just thinking through things still. He did move a goat over into his exhausted pool.
Not having the sympathy to make this salamander is pretty rough right now.
Yeah. You kind of almost have to go around the druid, and going tall is not how you're going to get around it. But you're right.
Yeah, he just like going wide requires gas, and he's out of gas. Like, he can play this game where he like makes some dudes and tries to block. If this bear survives, which I'm not sure that's a certainty, he would be able to like block bear with bear and then block owl with butterfly, assuming that's like the game state we end up in. But
I just still think the biggest mistake was the first owl not giving up that second magic siphon. I mean, I understand why you value that magic siphon, but like in a world where the Essence Druid just beats you, you have to probably keep Fester. There's 1 card left in Nick's deck, Brian. Last card in Nick's deck is a Hammer Knight.
Yeah, and there's like 11 or something in Inquisitors. He's a long ways from deck.
12 in Inquisitors. Yep, one in Nick's.
So the one thing I would say is that there's one of Essence Druid. He's on like roughly 30% to have it, and if he has it, you're dead. So you just play and hope that he doesn't. Kind of is like the line. Because you have no like you shouldn't play around something you have no outs to. So you just like say, okay, if he has it, he has it. That's it. And if he doesn't, then you don't. I don't know. He did have the out of the Fester because he also had the Nature's Wrath. So like post Nature's Wrath, he could Fester it now. But
well, I don't think you were going to probably get 2 of those cards played just because of all the owls. You were going to be down to 1 card no matter what. So to me, the one card that was most important was because you could still set up the natural dice through the 1 magic siphon you had. So you could still magic siphon and then natural ping. So he's going to meditate this away.
Yeah, I just don't know. I'm just not sure that any of these plays have a lot of impact on the outcome of this game.
Sure.
because Nick isn't on 0% to win. He's still playing Jessa, so if he can chump block enough times, he might win. But the clock is pretty fast with this like Frostback Bear, Mindfog Owl stuff, and also like taking fatigue damage every turn. Like that's just
Yeah, for sure. Harold's on 10 now. Did Jessa scream something? Must have.
I think that's what that when we were talking about if he's ceremonial powered, I think that was a scream.
Okay. I'm trying to keep up. It's a little harder to do when they're in TTS because you don't know that there's just a lot of lack of information, if you will. So I'm sure we'll see a PB guard block here.
Yeah, I mean he's obviously trying to like attack ping it, right?
Right. So if you do that, you get him down to 4.
And he'll scream most likely because I think he's out of things to do.
Yeah. So he's going to take the PB guard block here.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Jessa has what, 7 left? Gonna take 4, so he'll have 3 left. Yeah, that's definitely within the realm of this attack.
Yep. Well, Jessa's got 12 life remaining. So
that's life remaining. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's gonna take 4. He's gonna go to 8. Unfortunately, 8 is like the number.
Well, but he's gonna ping his butterfly monk and heal 1. Oh, the raptor herder's brutal.
Oh, here. He had 6 already because the Essence Druid could attack also.
The raptor herder is brutal here. Brutal. That's got to be a GG, right? On that.
I think he was dead already. Yeah, he was definitely dead before Raptor Herder because he would take 6, then take 4 from fatigue, then take 6 again on top of round whatever.
Yeah. So we're gonna see Raptor Herder get the hatchling get pinged. I'm sure we'll see Jessa scream that. Because what else are you gonna
do? He has blockers.
He doesn't though.
Not right now.
Yeah.
I think you need to attack this Frostback Bear with something.
He doesn't have. Yeah, there's the screen.
So he like attack Frostback with Mind Fog or something. It'll get PB guarded. Attack it with Essence Druid. Attack face for 3. Because you got to get the. Oh, they're just gonna pass. Okay.
So we just saw 5 damage go to Nick. Is that what we got? 5 remaining. So Nick's at 14.
So he just attacked face,
yep.
Which would have been for 7. Is that how much it did?
Well, Nick,
yeah, because he was at 12, so he took 7.
And then he's gonna take 4 fatigue.
7.
He's gonna take 4 fatigue, so he's gonna go to 18.
Yeah, it didn't matter. The math was like he could win a million ways.
Yep. So we are just as at 1 life here with Inquisitor attacking first. So it looks like we are going to have a Herald on Herald final here. Congrats to Inquisitor because there is 0 way for Nick to defend this attack all the way through. He's going to take 3 from this attack no matter what. He will heal 1, but it's not going to be enough. Putting him on 1 here from the fatigue is all that was needed. So I think they're just talking about the outcome of the game right now. But that will be the end of Jessa here.